Hi, shalom friends. I think you would agree with me that a person who's so addicted to alcohol that he lives for the next drink is living a very, very sad life. I mean, we would say that's life. For the next buzz, the next high, until then it's nothing. Or for that matter, if a person gets the thrill of gambling and is addicted, and for him, life is really about when will be the next time he could gather enough money to go to Vegas to gamble. Again, that's a life that I believe many of us would reject. But I'd like to be a little bit confrontational today and ask you, have you asked yourself, why are you living? The alcoholic gave an answer. I'm living for the next drink. The addict said, I'm living for the next heroin high. But would you be able to answer that question? Why are you living? Well, if you're fortunate enough to have written a mission statement, you might. But many of us have not written a mission statement for life. So how would we go about answering this question that we might be asking ourselves at this moment? Well, one of the ways people get to clarification is often by contrasting it with a negative. And that would be as follows. Is there anything you would give up your life for? Well, simply put, what would you die for? So you would say, well, what do you mean by that? You say, well, if you had a Lexus and someone came and said, the Lexus or your life, would you give up your life for your Lexus? Okay, I could hear you say, no, of course not. Take the car, let me live. So then if you would not die for your Lexus, then you certainly wouldn't want to live a life so you could acquire a Lexus. On the other hand, if someone perhaps said, I would like you to be a treason against your country. I'd like you to give over state secrets. And you might think to yourself, perhaps I would give my life for my country. Well, if that were to be true, then live in that country that you're willing to give your life for. You wouldn't be living in Switzerland if you're willing to die for the USA. So now consider. I think many would agree that I would die, if necessary, to save and preserve my family. So now challenge yourself. If you're willing to die to keep your family, shouldn't you live for them? Isn't it rather ridiculous to miss important life events of your family because you're busy working or relaxing or being distracted, when a moment before or later you would say firmly, don't mess with my family, you'll have to kill me first. If you're willing to die for them, you have to be willing to live for them and with them. And this is certainly true about religion. If you're a loyal and a committed Jew, and we do say that it should never happen, we should never have this test, but we would be willing to die to remain Jewish, to die as a Jew. Well, if you're willing to die for your religion, then you should be motivated to live your religion. So, why is it that we're quite clear of what we're willing to die for? But when it comes to living for that ideal, we find it difficult to actually put it into practice. Now, I don't have the answer. I wish I did, but I don't. But I could offer some possibilities, and let me share with you one possible. And that is that if we know that we would die for something, that equally would motivate us to live for it. But over here, there's something that intervenes, and that is the distraction of time. See, if someone says, get out of my way, I want to hurt your child, or I'll punch you or hit you, you have to make a decision at that moment. But if someone says, okay, you love your child enough to sacrifice, so maybe you'll take him to the playground, in your mind you're saying, well, if it was the only moment in my life, I would do so. But, kids growing up, I have plenty of time. So let me do my email. Let me take a nap. Let me talk with my buddies. Let me go on a fishing trip. And then it's no problem. I'll miss the playground this day, this week, this month, but I'll make it up to him. And so we let time slip by. He's in elementary school. We were too busy to show up to the PTA. We were too busy to show up to the plays he went. And then when he comes to middle school, we're sometimes too busy to see his soccer practice or his baseball. And when he goes to high school, we're still very busy, but we'll certainly go to his graduation. And by the time we get to the time that we are able to give, we realize that what we were willing to die for and sacrifice for is gone. There's a very incisive story related by one of the Hasidic masters. I believe they say it in the name of Rabbi Chaim of Sanz. And he tells the story of a destitute family, a mother with her children who literally lived from day to day, mouth to mouth. And one day, a neighbor brought over an egg to this destitute family and said, I'm really sorry I don't have any more, but I do have this egg and perhaps you could do something with it. And all of the children gather around the mother. And they say, Mom, maybe if we put a little bit flour, a little bit of this, maybe we can make the egg spread out. We could all have a little bit of it. And the mother says, children, no, you know what we're going to do with this egg? This egg came from was freshly laid. What I'm going to do is borrow a hen. And the hen will sit on this egg and incubate it. And guess what will happen? A little chick will grow from it, will come from it. And then the kids get very excited. Oh, that's wonderful. So now we'll have a little plaything? No. And we will feed the little chick until it grows into a hen. And then the children say, are we going to have chicken afterwards? Oh, no. We're going to feed the hen and it's going to lay eggs. And then the children say, oh, that's wonderful. That means we'll all be able to have our own eggs. Says, no. What we're going to do is have the hen lay on it so they could have chicks coming. And she began to explain to them how from one egg you could have a farm. And the kids are so excited, anticipating the future, that the mother, without her realizing it, cracked the egg. Now, it's a sad story, but a very instructive story. We sometimes build dreams, and we have anticipations, and we're sure it's going to happen, or reasonably sure it's going to happen. All we need is a little time. But that time never happens. It passed. That time, that moment, is not here anymore. So we know what we want to live for, and we often know it by what we would sacrifice for it. Our job is to make it immediate and now. I would suggest that one of the remarkable achievements of the Rabbi of Chabad, Rabbi Schneerson, was he took the Jewish belief that the Mashiach is coming, but he said, we don't have any more time to wait. Yes, every Jew that has ever lived has always said, I believe firmly in the coming of the Messiah. And though he might tarry, I still await him. But it was always said, he'll come. When will he come? He'll come. And he said, enough. We have to live our life in a way where he comes today, where we are ready to greet him. Where if we want to live as Jews, we have to do it with a vibrancy and with an exuberance. Not that we would die to remain Jewish, but to celebrate and live Judaism on a moment-to-moment basis. That's something that's worthwhile to think about. Shalom.